Rain hammered the streets like the sky was punishing her. 16-year-old Nia Parker stood outside a worn-out youth shelter with a single backpack. The social worker had dropped her there and left without looking back. She pulled the hood of her sweatshirt tighter. Her hands shook as she tried the shelter door. Locked. She sank to the cold ground, hugging her knees as rain mixed with her tears. Her whole life, everything she owned, was stuffed inside her backpack. Nia unzipped it and pulled out a small plastic bag containing 2 old shirts, a toothbrush, and a photograph. The photograph looked burned on one corner. A Korean man in a dark suit, sharp jaw, calm smile. On the back, written in fading ink, "If anything happens, find him, G.M. Han." Her voice cracked. "Why didn't you find me first?" She pressed the photograph to her chest. Her mother had whispered that name on her deathbed. Han. A man she never met. A man who never showed up. The rain didn't stop. Neither did her pain. Months passed. Nia worked night shifts at a cheap diner because the owner allowed her to sleep in the storage room afterward. She wiped tables while customers whispered right in front of her she has no father, probably trouble. Girls like her never become anything. But she kept her eyes down, swallowing the pain like poison. Every night, she stared at the photograph until she fell asleep. And every night, she whispered, "One day, I won't just survive, I'll belong." 4 years later, Nia was 20. She worked odd jobs to survive, cleaning offices, delivering food, running errands, and doing anything that paid. One morning, she had a delivery at a massive glass building downtown. Han Corporation. She didn't realize it yet. She was walking into the empire of the man from the photograph. Nia stepped inside, balancing a tray of 5 coffees. Someone turned the corner fast and she bumped into him. Coffee spilled across a navy suit. "Oh my God, I'm so sorry." The man froze. Slowly, he looked up, his face drained of color. He stared at her like he had just seen a ghost. "Nia?" She blinked. "How do you know my name?" she asked. He parted his lips like he wanted to answer, but security rushed over and pulled her away. "Deliveries stay in the lobby. You need to leave, miss." She looked back, confused and embarrassed. The man stood there, still staring at her, breath uneven. He knew her, and she had no idea why. At night, Nia lay awake on her thin mattress in the diner's storage room, replaying the moment over and over. That man in the navy suit. How did he know her name? His expression wasn't casual recognition. It was shock and fear. Almost guilt. The photograph she kept hidden under her pillow burned in her mind. Could he be connected? The next morning, she returned to Han Corporation, not as a delivery girl, but determined to get answers. The lobby was intimidating. Employees dressed in expensive suits, moving with confidence. Nia felt small, but her spirit didn't shrink. She approached the reception desk. "I need to speak with someone. His name is..." Before she could finish, a voice cut in behind her. "You're not allowed here." It was the same navy suit man. Up close, he looked younger than she expected, maybe late 20s. His eyes, sharp and unreadable, scanned her face like he was searching for something familiar. She swallowed. "Yesterday, you said my name." He stiffened. "You're mistaken." "No, I'm not." He exhaled sharply, signaling to security. "Escort her out." 2 guards walked toward her. Panic flashed across her face. Her voice trembled but didn't break. "Does the name Han mean anything to you?" The man froze. Not a blink, not a breath, just stillness. Nia's voice wavered. "My mother left me a picture of a Korean man named Han, and you looked at me like you've seen a ghost." For a brief second, truth flickered in his eyes. Then he whispered, barely audible, "You shouldn't have come here." Just then, security took her by the arms. As they dragged her out, Nia realized something terrifying. Someone in that building knew exactly who she was. Nia stumbled onto the sidewalk as the heavy glass doors slammed behind her. People rushed past in suits, briefcases, ringing phones, but her world had gone silent. He knew something. The man in the navy suit knew. She brushed dust from her knees and stood straight. "No one throws me away twice," she muttered. Nia didn't sleep that night. She lay on her thin mattress, staring at the ceiling, replaying one sentence over and over. "You shouldn't have come here." Why? What was he hiding? By morning, she made a decision. If they wouldn't give her answers, she would take them. She returned to Han Corporation not with coffee, not as a delivery girl, but as someone who refused to be erased. This time, she waited outside, where employees gathered for their morning smoke break. She scanned each face until she saw him again. Navy suit, sharp jaw, and haunted eyes. He stopped when he saw her, like his heart slammed into a wall. Nia approached, steady and unafraid. "You know who I am," she said quietly. "Just tell me." He swallowed hard, voice low. "You need to leave this alone, Nia." "Why? Because I exist?" He flinched, like she had stabbed him with truth. Nia noticed something, the way his hands shook, the way his eyes kept shifting toward the building. Not fear for himself, but fear of someone inside. "Does it have to do with him?" she whispered. "The man in the photo?" At the mention of that, his eyes widened. "You have the photo?" Nia blinked. "You know the photo?" Before he could answer, a group of executives exited the building. He stiffened. He leaned in, voice trembling. "This place isn't safe for you." "Why not?" He took a breath, like confessing would cost him his life. "My name is Han Jun, and the man you're searching for," he hesitated, "is my father." Nia's world tilted. Han Jun looked at her with fear, guilt, and something like desperation. "You need to disappear," he whispered, "if my family finds out who you are." Security approached again. He stepped back, eyes full of regret. "They'll destroy you," he said. Nia didn't move. She wasn't running anymore. Not from truth, and not from anyone. "Let them try," she said confidently. Han Jun studied her for a moment before he walked away. Nia stood frozen on the sidewalk as Han Jun walked away, swallowed by a sea of suits. His last words echoed in her skull. "If my family finds out who you are, they'll destroy you." Destroy her? For what? For existing? She pressed her palm to her chest, forcing her breath to steady. If he was scared, then she was close to the truth. Later that evening, she returned to her shift at the diner. The fluorescent lights hummed. The scent of greasy fries clung to the air. Her feet ached. Her back burned. But her mind was racing too fast to feel fatigue. As she wiped a table, her coworker Tasha eyed her quietly. "You look haunted." Nia forced a laugh. "Just tired." Tasha leaned closer. "You know that building you delivered to yesterday, Han Corporation? Don't mess with people like that. They're dangerous, Rich." Nia swallowed. Dangerous. The word felt too familiar lately. Before she could reply, the diner door chimed. Her body froze. Han Jun walked in, not in his sharp suit but in a plain hoodie and cap, as if he didn't want to be recognized. Even dressed down, his presence pulled the air out of the room. He slid into a booth. Nia approached cautiously. "You shouldn't be here," she whispered. He didn't look at her. "You kept the photo, didn't you?" Her jaw clenched. "Yes." Han Jun exhaled shakily. "My father doesn't know you exist, but my mother does." Nia's heart slammed. "Your mother?" He nodded. "And she's the reason you grew up in shelters instead of our home." Ice flooded her veins. Everything inside her shattered. Han Jun finally met her eyes, guilt carved into every line in his face. "My mother found out your mom was pregnant with my father's child. Your mother wasn't his wife, She was his mistress. Nia's world stopped. My mother, Mrs. Kim, paid to make the problem disappear, he continued. She didn't care where you ended up. She only needed you gone. The photograph in her pocket suddenly felt like a ticking bomb, and she whispered only one word. Why? The word trembled in the air. Hanjun swallowed, his fists tight on the table. She thought you'd ruin everything, her image, the company, and her perfect family. My mother didn't want my father knowing another woman gave him a child. Nia felt her stomach twist. So, your father never knew I existed? Hanjun shook his head. No, he thinks I'm the only child. He searched her face, voice low. When you showed up with that photo, I panicked. I thought maybe you were a scam. But when I looked at you, his voice cracked. You look like him, Nia. The world spun. She wasn't chasing rumors. She was chasing blood. Nia stepped outside, leaning against the brick wall of the diner, gasping for air. Rain misted the street, but she barely felt it. Hanjun followed, pausing 2 steps away, unsure if he was allowed to come closer. Nia, his voice was softer now. I'm not like them. I don't hurt people. She turned sharply. But you kept their secret. Guilt flashed in his eyes. I was protecting you, he said. If my mother finds out you're here, she'll destroy you. She already tried once. Nia stared at him, anger burning under her ribs. I didn't ask for this life, she whispered. I didn't ask to be abandoned. I just wanted to know who I was. Hanjun took 1 step closer, rain sliding down his jaw. You're my sister. The words hit like lightning. But if you stay, he continued, voice trembling, you're stepping into a war. Nia lifted her chin, then let the war begin. The next morning, Nia stood across the street from Han Corporation, clutching a cheap umbrella against the cold drizzle. Cars glided past, black, tinted, expensive. She wasn't a delivery girl today. She was a threat. Nia replayed Hanjun's words in her mind. My mother didn't want you alive. Her fingers curled around the photograph, hidden in her back pocket. She wasn't afraid of Mrs. Kim. She wanted answers. Inside the lobby, employees moved like programmed machines. No laughter, no warmth. Power lived here, and power noticed everything. Nia stepped inside. But before she could reach the elevator, a woman appeared from the hallway. Elegant, icy, intentional. Mrs. Kim. Perfect porcelain skin. Diamond brooch. Power in every movement. Her gaze locked onto Nia like a sniper spotting a target. So it's true, Mrs. Kim said, voice calm and venomous. The stray has returned. Nia swallowed, but didn't step back. I'm here to speak to Mr. Han. Mrs. Kim tilted her head slightly, almost amused. My husband has no interest in whatever story you're selling. I'm not selling anything, Nia said. I'm his daughter. A pause, deadly and quiet pause. Mrs. Kim took 1 slow step forward, heels clicking like gunshots on marble. You listened carefully. Her voice was silk-wrapped steel. You came from a mistake, a moment of weakness. You are not and never will be part of this family. Nia stood her ground. You can lie to him, but you can't erase me. Mrs. Kim smiled, cold and practiced. Oh, darling, she whispered. I already did once. 2 security guards appeared instantly at her signal. Mrs. Kim leaned in so only Nia could hear her next words. And I will do it again. Security dragged Nia toward the exit. Her shoes scraped against the marble floor, and panic clawed up her throat, not from fear, but from rage. She had been thrown away too many times in her life. Not again. Let go of me, she shouted, struggling. But just as the guards reached for the doors, a deep voice thundered across the lobby. Stop. Everyone froze. A tall Korean man, in a charcoal suit, stepped out of the private elevator. Broad shoulders, calm authority. The same sharp jawline from the photograph she kept under her pillow every night. Chairman Han. The world slowed. Nia's breath caught in her chest. She had imagined this moment for years, what she'd say, how she'd confront him, but now, words died on her tongue. Mrs. Kim turned toward him, composed and smiling like nothing was happening. "There's nothing to worry about, darling. Just a trespasser." Chairman Han looked at Nia, really looked, and something flickered across his face. Confusion, recognition, pain. "Release her," he ordered. The guards obeyed immediately. Nia's knees nearly buckled when his eyes met hers. Slowly, she reached into her back pocket and pulled out the photograph. Her hand trembled. "This was the only thing my mother left me," she whispered. Chairman Han took the photo. His hand shook. "That night," he murmured, voice suddenly unsteady, "she left without explaining anything." Mrs. Kim stepped forward fast. "Honey, this girl is not enough." His tone cut the air like a blade. He looked at Nia again. "What is your mother's name?" Nia swallowed. "Grace Parker." Chairman Han staggered back a step. His face went pale. I loved her." Mrs. Kim's mask cracked. For the first time, fear flashed in her eyes. Mrs. Kim stepped between them like a shield. "She's lying," she snapped. "Do you know how many girls show up claiming to be related to you? She's just another—" "She has your face." Han Jun's voice cut through the lobby. Everyone turned. He had been standing near the columns, fists trembling, eyes burning with guilt. Mrs. Kim froze. "Han Jun, don't." But he didn't stop. He walked toward Nia, stopping at her side for the first time, choosing her over his mother. "4 years ago," Han Jun said, voice shaking, "I found documents in Mother's safe. Doctors were paid to remove a baby from a woman named Grace Parker and make sure she never came back." Mrs. Kim's expression twisted. "You don't know what you're talking about. You paid them to lie to Father," he continued, louder. "You said the baby died." Nia felt her heart slam against her ribs. Chairman Han's hand slowly clenched around the photograph, knuckles white. "Is this true?" he asked quietly, dangerously calm. Mrs. Kim opened her mouth, but Chairman Han roared. "Is it true?" Silence. Only the sound of Nia's shaky breathing filled the enormous lobby. Mrs. Kim lifted her chin, tears of rage burning. "I did what was necessary. She was a mistake. Grace was my happiness," Chairman Han finished, voice razor sharp. "The only woman I ever loved." Nia's breath caught. He pointed at Mrs. Kim, voice cold as death. "You stole my daughter from me." Security shifted uneasily. Mrs. Kim's voice trembled with fury. "She would have ruined everything. Your reputation. Our name. She is my blood." The shout echoed through the marble walls. Mrs. Kim flinched. Nia didn't know when her tears began. All she knew was that for the first time in her life, someone fought for her. Chairman Han stepped toward Nia, gently touching her cheek with shaking hands. "I'm sorry," he whispered. "You should have grown up with love. With me." Nia covered his hand with hers and sobbed. Nia stood at the entrance of Han private residence, a mansion so large it looked like it had swallowed the sky. The gates opened slowly. Security bowed to Mr. Han, but when their eyes shifted to Nia, their posture changed, stiff, cautious, and almost doubtful. She wasn't a nobody anymore, but they didn't know what she was yet. Inside, the mansion gleamed. Marble floors reflected chandeliers. Gold-trimmed staircases spiraled like something out of a dream. A maid offered to take her backpack, the same faded backpack she used in the shelter. Nia held it tighter with a smile. "It's okay. I'll keep it." It wasn't just a bag. It was her entire life. Mr. Han placed a hand on her shoulder. "From today, you're not just my daughter," he said. "You are the future of Han Corporation." The staff exchanged looks, shock, disbelief, and resentment. Mrs. Kim appeared at the top of the stairs, rage coiled in her eyes like a snake. "You're making a mistake," she hissed. Mr. Han didn't blink. "I already made one, 20 years ago, when I let you convince me to push someone away." Mrs. Kim's jaw dropped. Someone, not just Nia's mother, but Mr. Han's first love, the woman he was forced to leave. He turned to Nia. "Starting tomorrow, you will begin training etiquette, business, and press handling. You will learn everything." Han Jun stepped forward, gentler than before. "I'll help you," he said. Mrs. Kim scoffed. "She doesn't belong here." Nia met her gaze head-on. I survived shelters, streets, and hunger. I think I can survive this mansion. Power, confidence, fire. And for the first time, Mrs. Kim didn't have a comeback. Nia wasn't just entering an empire, she was claiming it. Cameras flashed like lightning. Paparazzi crowded the front of Han Corporation's headquarters, screaming questions, pushing, elbowing each other to get a better angle. The massive building's doors slid open, and Nia stepped out. Not the girl from the shelter, not the delivery girl kicked out by security, but Han Nia, the daughter of the most powerful Korean billionaire. She wore a sleek cream suit. Her curls flowed freely down her back, not tamed, not hidden. Han Jun walked beside her, protective. Behind them, Mr. Han carried the pride of a father who finally had his missing child back. A reporter shoved a mic forward. Is it true your mother was a mistress? That you grew up in shelters? Nia didn't flinch. Yes, and I'm not ashamed of where I came from. Murmurs. She continued, voice steady, the voice of a woman who had learned to fight her whole life. I wasn't raised by money. I was raised by struggle, and that struggle gave me strength. Mrs. Kim pushed through the press, her face twisted with disbelief. You don't deserve this empire. Nia turned to her calmly. You tried to erase me before I was even born, but I survived, and surviving makes me more qualified than any privilege ever could. The crowd exploded. Reporters scrambled. Cameras zoomed in. The underdog just became the headline. Mr. Han wrapped an arm around his daughter. Welcome home, he whispered. Nia looked up at the massive building, her name already shining on the digital billboard. From forgotten to feared to unstoppable, she finally belonged. Not because of her bloodline, but because she refused to disappear. The moral lesson of this story is that your beginnings do not define your future. Your persistence does.